Hello everybody, my name is Steve Gogo and welcome back to Trails Into Reverie. And what I keep saying about the last episode, I don't want to jinx it. I don't know if it will be or not. But yes, this looks to be the third, and this will be a secret one of the Beyond the Reverie little side stories going on. These have been epic. That was actually really, they've been really immersive as well, despite the fact it's literally just a black screen or still image. Like, I was super in it. I was well building in my head and everything. Anyway, hopefully my voice is okay for this, because it's basically an audiobook, isn't it? So hopefully I don't butcher the pronunciations too hard and it's unbearable. But anyway, September year 1207 of the Septian calendar. Oh, it's a year earlier than the other ones. I cannot accept. I'm trying to see what the image is. Again, sun glare, that's the word. I was not one to mince words. The hulking bear of a veteran bracer, Zin Fatek, nailed it, could not hide his disappointment, puffing out his bottom lip with a sigh as he stood before me. Acting. Not again. You're going to resign yourself to the inevitable one of these days. I had been indebted to this man, who was as capable as he was kind, since my first days in the guild. Truly, I didn't wish to be a source of vexation for him, but the wish alone was not enough. I have neither experience nor skill to be worthy of an A rank, so I cannot accept your recommendation. This is either a new bracer or all you know. Bracers are assigned ranks based on their strength and achievements, with A rank being the highest, on paper at least, unless you're Cassius the Chadius Bright, who's S rank. Its members are the very face of its beloved organisation, and as such, ranks are a metaphorical badge of honour to be worn with pride. So how I had received multiple recommendations for the most prestigious rank in 6 months? I spared no effort in working to hone my craft in the years I joined after school. And certainly, I wouldn't classify myself as a doe-eyed newcomer, but to have my name among the greats of the guild, absolutely not. Now I'm assuming this isn't young Sarah, I'm assuming, not that. But after turning down my first recommendation, the second one come from the guild's headquarters in Le Mans. If you ask me, you got both in spades. There's something else making you lean towards a no? Zin's awkward smile told me that he'd been pressured by headquarters to persuade me. I folded my arms. Yes. Setting aside whether you're overestimating me or not, which I believe you are, I would very much like to not stand out any more than I already do. I'm getting offers to be a model, to star in films. Ooh. Whoever this is, she's very attractive. It's been, frankly, exhausting forcing them to give up. Now, what do you think would happen if I were to accept a promotion? I'll be neck deep in the same mess all over again. I'm trying to think who that is. It must be from a new game anyway. Haha, okay, that makes sense. But sorry, you're a 1-2 punch in the beauty and bronze department. Trying to lay low is a lost cause. With the kind of fans you're getting, maybe you should consider the silver screen after all. Who knows? You might walk away with an award from the film festival. Jin's laugh was hearty in contrast to my unamused frown. Much as I respected him, he could do with showing a little more decorum. And that's not funny. I understand being in the public eye to some extent is inevitable, and I've accepted it, but I'm a bracer, not an entertainer. I wasn't trying to be funny though. You've got to find a way to love some steam, or you're going to break when you need to put together the most. Happens to the workaholics like you more often than you think. Didn't think I was pushing myself as much as he implied, but I also couldn't deny there was a nugget of truth to what he said. We were getting off topic. Just why is headquarters so desperate for me to become an A-rank bracer? Can't see the logic behind it. Well, yes, see, starting with what you know, the reparations from Erebronia have beefed up our economy this year, so all kinds of new investments are pouring in from across the continent. Now, I am no economist, but people go where the money's at, and where people go, conflict flows. That's just how it is. Bit like real life, isn't it? I saw where he was going from there, electing to expand upon the rest myself. So now we have disputes between mega corporations and a stark increase in Jaeger activity. These are in addition to the known growth of military companies and increased tensions between the mafias. You got it, you think it's bad now, so we're going to get worse from here. That's why Le Mans wants us to up security here while promoting our rising star. You, ladies and gentlemen. No, Riz. They see it as good PR for the guild and a deterrent to any potential threats that are thinking about stepping out of line. Perhaps I was more vaguely aware of their goal in using me than I wanted to admit. This didn't make hearing the answer any more satisfying. They have you asking me to play my part, then surely they have asked you to play your part already. You've been recommended for S rank, haven't you? Oh. If you know of a better deterrent than having an S rank in Calvard, then I'd like to hear it. Oh, we have heard of Zin, actually, now I think about it. Sarah mentioned him quite a lot. Zin scritched. Is that a misspell? Scritched the back of his head awkwardly. I just don't think I'm up there with someone like Cassius Bride. Chad is. S isn't even an official rank, and even if it was, just look at me. Being a guy like me is a picture-perfect advertisement for the guild. But you have the skills, achievements, and build to be one. Yes. A curt, quick response. Alright, point made. I can't force you to take the recommendation. I'm not about to be a hypocrite. Just let me know if you change your mind, okay? With that, the conversation came to an end, and the guild's braces gathered to begin our routine meeting of delegating open requests. This is how I preferred things. It was better to stay like this. I'll say, if that ended, that'd be super short. There was a point when I wanted to be something more. I can no longer remember what that was. Sometime during my childhood it happened, I'm sure. I just recall realising how small the world truly was. So I prayed and longed to become someone I was not. It was around high school when I thought I became that someone. Those years were unforgettable. I'll never forget the unexpected reunion that was had there, nor the priceless treasures that I had gained. I truly thought I had gotten closer to who I wanted to be. But in the end, it was just wishful thinking. My hand once held was now empty, and I was still a nobody. But I refused to stand still. I grew unrelenting in following the new path I chose myself, ignoring my family's objections. My motivations had changed, however. I no longer possessed that girlhood desire of becoming something more, or becoming someone. I just needed to keep moving, however aimless that movement was. Always keep moving there, gentlemen. Always. Don't know why I'm trying to be inspirational here. I don't myself. I think you're from a new game. I recognise you. Maybe you're the silver-haired one I was thinking the other one was. The one with the sword. Elaine, is that her name? Yeah, I've only seen the trailer. Well, aren't we looking gorgeous today? Oh, I know. With a whimsical wink, a familiar bartender welcomed me to his establishment. He was a tall, affable man who lived by his own rules and never hesitated to lend a helping hand to others. He reminded me much of the Crossbell City branch's receptionist from the few times I visited for work. That's to do with a fantastic t-shirt. The place was nearly empty today. Sat down on the canter seat farthest from the door as he approached. The usual sweetheart. Oh dear. I stopped by here after a hard day's work on occasion, and whenever I did, I always ordered coffee and a light snack. This was not a coffee and a snacks kind of day. No, it wasn't though, gentlemen. I wanted something with alcohol. Even beer will do. Not at all fazed by the vagueness of my order, he walked away and started preparing my drink. It wasn't long before he returned and placed an elegant glass in front of me. I bet it's little more you than a beer. Oh, because she's a beautiful lady. It was a beautiful cocktail comprised of two colours, a clear blue like that of a priceless sapphire and a calming jade. No doubt he could tell how disquieted my heart was and was trying to soothe it in his own way. I thanked him inwardly before daring to broach my other reason for coming. Have you learned anything more about what I asked? Apart from being a skilled bartender, he was also a well-known informant. All bartenders in games are literally spies, I swear. He was extremely well connected to the guild, the press and even the criminal underworld, but he was very careful never to overstep his bounds with that last one. Indeed, I found it to be a valuable source when needed. I wish I could say yes, but not even Dingo has any promising leads. Still, I think you've got your eyes on the right district. It's only a matter of time before they get smoked out. I see. Since the guild's investigation turned up nothing, I was hoping he would better point me in the right direction. But it seemed this was going to be a lot harder than one had hoped for. Don't know why I went posh there, but we're rolling with it. Things will work out. Just pace yourself and keep it at it a little bit at a time. That also applies to that cocktail. It's a strong one. So don't drink it all at once. Neck it like a Chad. I tilted the glass delicately between my fingers as he stepped away, my mind continued to wade through the case I was following. There had been a stark increase in illegal drugs on the market. Not just any drugs, either, but ones of the highly addictive, dangerous variety. Heyoe is one marijuana legend. Heyoe, who effectively ruled over the criminal underworld in Calvard, ordinarily limited their proliferation in the market as part of their rules. Limiting the number of drugs was, of course, far from the ideal elimination of them, but none could deny that the syndicate's actions had brought some semblance of order to where chaos often reigned supreme. Yet the past few years had seen a worrying number of criminal groups rebelling against these carefully curated rules. One of these groups was surely behind the change in the market. And all of this held a presumed connection to 2 missing people. Tension builder, gentlemen. The guild and police had been tasked with searching for 2 children below the age of 10, a boy and his younger sister. Simply left the house one day and had not been seen since. Evidence suggested that they came from a perfectly ordinary family on good terms with one another, so the likelihood of them running away was slim. We mulled over the suspicion that they had been abducted for ransom early on. Not a single demand was made following their disappearance, so it was quickly ruled out. Despite the healthy amount of manpower that was coming from both sides, neither the guild nor the police had yet to find them. That said, the search so far had not proved entirely fruitless. The last known location was fortunately established, and it was, unfortunately, a popular site for the illicit drug trade. The kid's just trying to get some of that dank, you know what I mean? The working theory from there became that the siblings witnessed a transaction and were held captives by criminal parties involved as a result. That held true. Then the longer it took our parties to find them, the greater the danger their lives were in. The abductors wouldn't do anything right away. Murder was sure to leave a trace evidence behind, but it was only a matter of time before they resorted to that or trafficking abroad to be rid of them. With each passing second, the odds of the children being returned unharmed were dropping to 0. At the same time, all this was pure speculation on our part based on a single established location. For all we knew, this had nothing to do with the criminal underworld at all. Probably Ouroboros, they love kidnapping troubled children, don't they? Hey kids, you want to blow up the world? Alright. Potential dangers thrown around made inaction an agonising task. But if there was no evidence to go on, action was impossible. We could forcibly arrest. I am recording, right? Sorry, I know I do that literally every episode, but seriously, it's happened twice and it broke me both times. But if there was no evidence to go on, action was impossible. We could forcibly arrest any suspicious people on site and make them talk should we wish it. Bit of torch there, gentlemen, but that would be a direct violation of the guild's code and its founding principles. The Bracer Guild always sought to be an ally of the people first and foremost, so resorting to criminal acts to obtain evidence was out of the question. Following this strict adherence to our code didn't stop us from being able to resolve so many crimes, thereby putting people we swore to protect in danger. It was the ultimate impasse. As I found myself pondering on this impossible dilemma the Bracers had placed themselves in, a familiar face came to mind. It was a childhood friend with blue-tinged, unkempt hair. Though we had lost contact with one another some years before, he one day returned to the city as suddenly as he had left it. Is this Van? Because he's the only one I know who has blue hair. He looks to be the protagonist, I think. Oh, God. I need to buy a new chair. So bad. Whew. Soon after starting up a peculiar profession that skirted the line of legality to a dangerous degree. The kind of profession that could easily involve himself in the affairs of many an unscrupulous individual. Or so I believe. Just what did that idiot think he was doing? He walked out of my life without warning, and walked back in much the same. I spent so much time searching for him, I knew our reunion would be an awkward one, and their music has stopped. Would be an awkward one, based on how we parted. But for him to return after all that waiting, all that searching, and dive into the questionable enterprise so different from my own was almost too much to bear. It gave rise to many concerns as a bracer, and many more concerns as a friend. And the one that bothered me most was... God, I got hit with the sad music. Why hadn't he come to see me? Did he have any idea how worried I was about him? How worried I am about him? Irritation building. I took a large gulp of my cocktail. Voice acting. But the alcohol only fanned the flames of anger burning in my heart. They burned brighter and brighter still, becoming a dazzling white that projected countless transient images of the past. Then just as quickly as it had flared, my anger faded in an instant, replacing itself with a very different emotion altogether. It's called being pissed. I know it all too well. Why did you leave me? The words slipped from my mouth without me realising it, making me feel downright pitiful once they were said. If someone were to see me like in this state... You still haven't moved on, I see. Oh? A familiar but unexpected voice called out to me, causing me to jump slightly from surprise. I quickly regained my composure. I just have a few choice words I'd like to say. My response feigned calmness as best I could. Couldn't help but think I had more than a few choice words, really. But following up with that would aid my annoyance in a way I would rather not further. Oh, I imagine you have more than a few. Right, of course he would see right through me. The bespectacled man then sat down next to me as though our running into each other was no coincidence. He was another childhood friend of both myself and the one I was lamenting over, and someone who followed a remarkably different career path from either of us. If it's still bothering you that much, why not just go and see him? You already have his address by now, surely. How could I, with how much time has passed? Sorry, it's my favourite bit. How could I, with how much time that's passed? As I mumbled my response meekly, I thought I could hear the man next to me chuckle. Well then, I suppose there's no need to rush things. With your lines of work, I'm sure your paths will cross naturally enough in due time. Didn't expect that kind of response. You make it sound so romantic. Because it is, legend. Lest you have forgotten, I don't struggle with expressing what's in my heart the way he does. Now, since we're here, how about a toast? I'll make your next one a non-alcoholic. And lest you have forgotten, I can handle my liquor just fine. Thanks very much, fine. We then spent the rest of our time reminiscing about the past. It had been too long since we were able to do just sit and talk like this. Also that he and I had become estranged, though both of our jobs made it a trying task to meet even at the best of times. By the way, I've heard you turn down becoming an A-rank bracer again. Of course I wouldn't escape the CID's ears. Oh, it's just a Hayaway dude then. He's the only one I know that has glasses. So, other than Mackius and Dudley, they're the only ones that have glasses. Anyway, the information itself wasn't confidential, but that he already knew something, however unofficial it was entirely typical of him. The Bracer Guild focused on protecting civilians, while the CID focused solely on the needs of the President in office. Groups were neither enemies nor allies, they simply had very different goals where work was concerned. I know it isn't my place to tell you to accept the offer, however. He paused before resuming, his tone becoming remarkably more serious. The times we live in demand a new hero. That much is clear, because Lloyd, Reed and Estelle have retired. Oh god, it's gonna be so weird without them there. Like, really weird. So I don't even know if they might never turn up. There might be a new trilogy, and they're just completely done, I don't know. I had no idea what a realist like him was trying to say by implying I was a hero. Before I could inquire further, he changed the subject that was likely what brought him to find me in the first place. Now, if you don't mind, I have something that will be of interest to you regarding those missing children. My eyes widened from the unexpected change. He continued. We've identified the group that made that district their turf, as well as have compelling evidence of a crime taking place. You may proceed as you like in cooperation with the police. I couldn't believe it. On a fine silver platter, he had just given me the cause to act. Since the information came from the CID, there was no reason to doubt its veracity. I felt it. I was on the verge of rekindling my girlhood desires. Just like me, ladies and gentlemen, I'm on the verge of rekindling my girlhood desires. Yes. Ooh, was it? So much talking today. All I had done until now was follow life where it was taking me. Yet here I found myself before a new path that could lead to that someone I once wanted to be. This deviation terrified me. What if it led me to losing someone again? What if it ended in more pain? My fear begged me to stay idle. I was a fragile human being at my core. I knew it well. It made me wish I was anything but. It inspired me to take up the sword and rebel against any whispers of weakness. And I played the part admirably on the surface. But if I were forced to face cruel reality in the future, I wondered, would my heart be able to take it? Yes, I nailed it with the timing of the music. Good for me. Okay, I was looking for the end. Oh yes. What? They all have such cool looking swords. I'm so sad that Runes got cut in half. As I sidestepped to the left, I shifted my centre of gravity and unleashed a flurry of slashes against my first spur, using that momentum to thrust both myself and my blade toward my second. Two low-ranking monsters fell to the ground. They were members of a mafia I had been chasing, and right now I was in the thick of their den of operations. My friend gave the guild and police the excuse we needed to take a more direct stance against our target. His information was vague, however, so we still had to discern their precise location on our own. I, Zin, and several other bracers agreed it would be best to split our forces and attack several locations in unison as part of our mission. Based on what just transpired, it appeared my location was a lucky winner. There's the intruder! Hey, I've seen her before. She's from the paper. And she's attractive. Yes, 2 more reinforcements arrived, but I was hardly going to give them time to act. Again, this is so hype and intense for the fact that nothing's happening. Well, visually. I raced forward, swinging my sword twice as I passed them, and they fell before they could even raise their weapons. I advanced. Mobsters appeared in droves. Presumably, word of my arrival had already spread. There she is! She's that bracer's word's been going around about. That really grew me. Well, damn it. What if the immovable's here too? Don't be chicken shit. It's one woman. We can take care of her. They charged me in a mass, at least 10 of them, with more reinforcements on their way from far inside the building. Forcing my way through with how many they had in their number was risky. I knew the sensible thing to do would be to wait for the other bracers to show, but I also had to consider, what if my waiting afforded the Mafia the time to wield the children as hostages? Weighing the 2 options, I concluded that whatever reduced the chance of that happening was worth the cost. I needed to push on and settle this now. Besides, I believe I had nothing to fear from this pitiful group as they were. Were they seasoned combat veterans? They could have used their numerical advantage to implement complex formations and corner me. Oh god, the words, but they did no such thing. The amateurs. And they dared to believe they held a candle to KOA's martial arts. In the face of one of my experience, their bloated size was more of a hindrance than a help. They wouldn't be able to utilise even half their potential against me. I first had to position myself, and then appropriately, if I could ensure the gun-toting rulers among them were in each other's line of fire while rounding up the close-range fighters to a single spot, they would soon have bigger worries. Friendly fire. Yes, their vulnerabilities would then spell my victory as I cut them down. 1 down, 2 down. The precious seconds after defeating a foe were the most advantageous. Just as the man had fallen, I was onto another before they had time to adjust to my incoming blade. There was no pattern to who was next by design. I chose my targets with stunning erraticism, throwing them into complete disarray as more collapsed to the ground. 3 down, 4. I would go around them in a wide circle. I would move between them, while remaining ever aware of any surprise assaults at my back. I waded through them till I encountered the ones farthest back. These ones never even considered I would be able to reach them. They were spread so carelessly. The men took up their guns with newly alert panic strewn across their faces, but their fate was already sealed. They were powerless as I closed the gap between us. That still only counts as 1, as we know. 5, 6, 7. With over half their number down, the remaining mobsters were quickly losing their will to counter. Some attacked out of adrenaline-induced desperation, calculating their next move so poorly that they fell into my long-set trap and accidentally attacked themselves. At this point, the battle was as good as final. All I had to do was continue taking them down till I was the last one standing. She's badass. There were smaller groups I encountered on my way through the building, but I was able to disable them with little effort. The pathway opened up for me eventually led me to their leader. He was a middle-aged fellow pacing restlessly around an unpleasantly gaudy room until I entered. He twitched in fear at the very sight of me. Yes. But why are you here? Where are my men? Kissing the floors. I like this lady already. I answered so calmly and concisely that he balked in disbelief. But that's impossible. I sweat my balls off to build this group from the ground up. And you're saying that a girl like you tore it all down just like that? Sexism, ladies and gentlemen. Silly man. I ignored his crude language and drew closer. As I thrust my sword till I sat just between his eyes, he let out a squeal. Well, I'm no ordinary girl. I'm a bracer. And don't worry, I didn't kill them. They've only been knocked out or restrained. It's like reminds you of Kill Bill. They're alive, but they can keep their limbs, or they have to leave their limbs behind or something. That film was epic, you should watch it. She basically kills like half of them, but half of them survive, and yeah. This is kind of reminding me of that. You'll be seeing them again soon, in prison. I shot a darkening glare in his direction as the tip of my sword wandered downward to his neck. Now I have some questions for you, and you will answer them. The man nodded emphatically. Acting. His whole body trembling from fear. 2 children, a boy and a girl under 10 years old, disappeared last month. Your people adopted them, didn't they? He nodded. I knew it. Then where are they? What did you do to them? They're in the room farther inside, and they're alive. At last, I could breathe a sigh of relief. My most fundamental objective when coming here could be fulfilled. Next, I need to ask you more about this group. I thought you all seemed far too weak to be charged with this district of the city. After coming across your account book, everything fell into place. You're working on behalf of someone else, aren't you? He was so unsure of how to respond, they fell completely silent, but that alone gave me my answer. Who is it then? Tell me, is it A? A? I can't. He flinched in fear as I pressed him, resisting as though he generally couldn't say. Then just as he opened his trembling lips to speak, I heard a strange thudding sound from outside the room. I stepped away from the man, my sword still firmly in hand. Crunching, squelching, splattering. That combined with the music stopping is not the best. Not the best, is it? More sounds. These are more audible than the first. I didn't know what to make of them. They made me feel an instinctive revulsion as they dragged on. They may have come accompanied by faint groans, but if they did, they faded just as soon as the sounds. Ooh, that painted a nasty picture. I remained on guard as I stepped out into the hallway, ready to be attacked from any angle at any moment, and the sight that greeted me defied all imagination. The monsters I fought through mere minutes. That literally jump scared me. Again, I have my music on super loud. The monsters I fought through here, mere minutes, for were now nothing more than distorted, mutilated piles of flesh and bone. Not just one or two, every single one of them, without exception, had been reduced to a bloodied mounds. Some were without heads, others had their organs ripped from their abdomens. Then there were those with their skulls caved in and leaking pulverized brain matter, or the ones with their hearts pulled and squeezed. Ew. Each corpse was different, each corpse was unbearable to look at. The plain hallway I traversed with all due speed was now covered in sticky, slimy red. Who could have done something like this? I mean, I'll be buggering off, I'll be running. The sight was so awful that my free hand, now clenched, shook from disgust. When was it ever necessary to go this far? What could anyone have to gain from this? Wait, no. I realised I had just made a very careless mistake. I turned and hurried back into the room I was just in. I was too late. The Mafia's leader was floating in the air at the centre of the room, so some unknown force was holding him up by his chest. A monstrous sword pierced through his chest. A single streak of blood dripped from his unspeaking mouth. Is this the same as that one that Reen met then? There was no room to believe he was anything but dead. Like all the others in the hallway, he didn't even have time to scream before his life was taken. Who are you? I barked at the centre of the room, trying to drown out my instinctive fear with anger. At a glance, only the corpse and I were present. If I strained my eyes, I could see the faint contours of another distorting the space around me. It must have been some form of active camouflage. I would have thought it a basic courtesy to give your name before asking others. Charming ace of the Bracer Guild. Because I'm assuming this is going to be like the main bad guy or something. Because they painted a really disgusting image. It was a man's voice that projected true arrogance, as though he were above all others as a matter of course. I instinctively readied myself for battle in response, but my actions seemed not to faze him in the slightest. No need to be spoiling for a fight, I'm simply here to take out the trash after they were careless enough to leave a trail for the CID to follow. Was I really talking to a fellow human being? How could he speak with such gruesome murders in those terms? Are you a business partner of theirs? No, you must be from a group above them. Very good. He then swung his blade to slide and tossed the corpse off to the side with all respect of a used cigarette. How can you treat people like you work with like this? People, have you your ears? I said nothing about taking out a person, only trash. Same applies to the garbage piling up in the hallway. They have always been so, even before they stopped breathing. It was clear that communicating with someone of his nature was impossible. I dismissed calm reason for an intense, all-consuming anger so great that my entire body couldn't stop trembling. You monster! Voice act. Before I knew it, I had sprung into action, pouting every drop of my strength into my blade to launch a swift, unavoidable strike. But he repelled it with one vertical swing of his own. This one exchange was enough to tell me that his strength was well a league above mine. He parried my blow at the most perfect instant, cancelling out the force of my attack with so little effort that it barely scratched the surface of what he was capable of. The active camouflage did nothing to hide the monstrous nature of his cruciform sword either. Its design combined silver and black in an unholy fusion of darkness and light, as if chaos itself dwelled within its very blade. It was no common weapon. Even if I continued to give it my all, my odds of winning against him were extremely slim. But at the same time, my instincts were screaming at me. I could not allow him to lead. I charged again. If attacking him from the front wasn't going to work, then I would have to go for his side. He blocked that attack with just as little effort. But I wasn't done yet. I refused to stop moving, slashing a third time with even more speed than the first two. Wow. I'm so curious who these bad guys are. They sound terrifying. I showered him in a flurry of them, each one faster than the last. When I finally reached my physical limit, I darted in a new direction, attacking him from behind. I put my very soul into one overwhelming attack aimed directly at his arsehole, which I could only just make out through the camouflage distortion. I got him. I meant rear. Oh, I didn't even notice I just said that. Just said that so fluidly. I'm sorry. However, the second I became sure that victory was in my grasp, his cruciform blade carved a great arc through the air in a ferocious spinning slash. I was able to instantly defend myself against the blow, but the force of it sent me flying backward. I was fortunate enough to not have sustained a direct hit, but my body shook for now being able to fully cancel out its massive weight. Still, I forced myself back to my feet and glared at his form. The difference between us was night and day. It felt as though he could manipulate the very flow of battle, much like a master of martial arts who understood the true nature of all things. He paid no mind to my pitiful attempt at bravado, and gave a short laugh before speaking. Impressive. You put up more of a fight than the rumours has led me to believe. What's your goal? What are you trying to do with all your strength? I itch. I expected him to reject or ignore me, so I was taken aback when he paused for a sincere moment of thought before answering. Itch. I'm not picking my nose, I'm itching. Oh. An interesting question. I suppose to instill fear. Fear? I almost doubted my ears. Fear is at the heart of all we know. Domination and servitude, order, harmony and production. All of it exists because of fear. That is why I seek to instill fear in its purest form, much like the retributive tower that appeared in Crossbell half a year ago. Such a pity that it fell. There was such pleasure in his words that it made it easy to imagine the expression on his veiled face. As insane as what he was saying sounded to me, I knew he meant every word of it. You really are a monster. Continue your foolish attempts to stop me and you'll understand what I mean in due time. He lowered his blade. As a parting gift for assisting me in my house cleaning efforts, I'll let you and those children go. Keep that too pristine blade sharp for our next meeting, Bracer. With that, he turned to leave. But wait, just like extending my hand, the ground below him emitted a bright glow. By the time that glow had faded, he was gone. Maybe it's an Ouroboros member then, because they had the glowing teleport. I'd never seen this games go so far as to literally like disintegrate bodies. Is Calvard going to be way darker than the originals? Because normally it's not that brutal. He had likely used the same teleportation spell that certain other criminal organizations were known to rely on. His departure also released all the strength I had left in me, not from relief, but from the exact opposite. I was so overwhelmed with frustration I let him leave, so afraid of what he might go on to do because I couldn't stop him, that I lost the strength to even stand. Of course, this is just who I've always been. I haven't changed one bit since the day you left me. I'm still the same powerless girl I was back then. Well, this is intense, isn't it? My work here wasn't finished yet. I walked yet to the next room. I opened the door and was greeted by what appeared to be an old storage space. There, across the hall, I found who I was searching for. The brother and sister pair were crouched against the wall, the boy trembling on the floor as his sister stood close by. It's okay, I'm here to help you. I kept my tone as gentle and reassuring as I was able. The girl smiled with her older brother, continuing to hide his face. I slowly walked toward them, careful not to make any sudden movements. And as I did, the boy shook his head vigorously. His whole body trembled more the closer I got, as though he as though he were telling me to stay away. The answer from that man flashed my mind. Fear is at the heart of all we know. These poor children were very much in fear's clutches. No matter how gradual I was in closing the distance between myself and the boy, trying my best not to provoke him, his body language showed he continued to reject me. We were now within arm's length of one another. His shaking grew more violent, and though he opened his mouth to speak, his voice refused to come out. Oh, poor kid. It's alright. I smiled a most comforting smile. After that, he reached out behind me and grasped the blade of a knife that was being thrust toward me. I turned swiftly, my fingers level letting go, and found the one gripping the hilt to be none other than the sister. I mean, fair play to her. For all they know, she could be evil, and she tried to do the errand thing, She had tiptoed around my back while I was kneeling to meet her brother, try to stab me from behind. She was a bit startled by my halting her attack, but otherwise she stared blankly forward, emotion on her face nowhere to be seen. I suppose he was right about fear. It controls everything we do. It must have been through something terrifying that made you resort to this. No doubt they were now conditioned by fear to attack anyone who came to their rescue. I paid no mind to the blood from my bare hand, slowly dripping to the floor. The cut from the knife was nothing compared to everything else in the moment. My first priority instead was to reassure the girl that I meant no harm. But we humans are capable of more than giving in to fear. We can fight it. With courage, we can fight it. Takate, is that the phrase? Sorry, I got Takatite in my brain now. Your brother was doing just that now. He may have been gripped by fear, but he still fought his hardest for his actions to alert me of the danger his sister posed. Even if it took all he had, he wanted to keep me safe and to keep her from committing an irreversible, regrettable act. It was thanks to him that I noticed what she was trying to do. You don't have to be afraid anymore. I'm a bracer. I'll keep you safe. I took the girl into my arms. You're a bracer? Even her voice was devoid of emotion. That's right. I'm here to help you. Oh, I think I've seen you in the magazine before. Something Blade, I think. Oh, are you a Divine Blade? Maybe. That's right. The nickname's a little embarrassing, but I'd be happy if you remembered it. That way, as long as you hear it, you know I'm here to keep you out of harm's way. I tightened my grip around her as if to stop anything more from hurting her and surround her heart with my warmth. It really will be okay, I promise. I noticed her eyes twitched just slightly, and before long, her eyes filled with tears. Soon she began to sniffle. At first a small one here and there, till they gradually grew more pronounced, eventually turning into uncontrollable sobs. She had finally been liberated from her fear. I've heard the song. Is this the main theme of Calvard art? Again, I like to listen to the soundtrack. I don't spoil myself of anything. I don't even look at the titles. I think this is... God, I love a sax. As for me, I had stayed my course. I was too afraid to deviate from my current path. Still, I had chosen this path with pride in my heart. I didn't think it right to turn my back on it now. I wasn't going to let it be an aimless journey from now on either. And so, it was another day in the Edith branch of Calvard's guild. It sounds like the Mafia was trying to copy what that other organisation of assassins managed to pull off. I was discussing the recent case of Zin. The siblings had indeed been abducted because they witnessed an illegal transaction. The Mafia involved... God, it's so distracting. The Mafia involved then fought to mimic a group of assassins known for raising children with the intent of turning them into professional killers. Their attempts, thankfully, proved as unsuccessful as their attempts to remain covert in selling drugs. The CID found them, and whoever they were working for, purged them. Hell of a way to go. If I hadn't been so incompetent, maybe they wouldn't have been purged at all. Don't beat yourself about it. The guild's priority is to keep civilians safe, not criminals. Oh my god, that's sexy. If I hadn't been so incompetent, sorry. Don't beat yourself about it. The guild's priority is to keep civilians safe, not criminals. I don't want to say they deserve it for getting involved in organised crime. Well, it is what it is. Try putting that frustration you're feeling into more personal growth instead of letting it eat you alive. I mean, they were literally dissolved. That's very brutal way to go out. I was told that while the siblings were going to need psychological counselling for some time, I'll say, they were fully expected to recover and go back to their everyday lives. My meeting with them had triggered something inside of me. I came to realise that something needed to change. I had to take some step forward. Even if it ended in me falling to the floor in some dramatic fashion, I just needed to pick myself back up again. With that in mind, I accepted my multiple recommendations. Oh, she did it. Oh, I've got to screenshot that. Oh, I know you. You're the one I was thinking of. Okay. She's the silver-haired Elaine girl, I think. The times we live in demand a new hero, and I think that's Van. Because it's no longer my boy Reed. Doing so made me think of what my childhood friends said to me. I didn't believe I had what it took to be a hero. But if I could be, even for just a brief one able to give the people hope and banish the darkness ahead, and then that was reason enough to keep going. Oh, I can't wait. This looks so good. These stories have been epic. Maybe that could make me somebody enough to fight alongside the real hero once they came to light. Well, shall we get down to business? Zin turned to face me, the classic broad grin given broader even than usual. It'll be a while longer before the official paperwork arrives from the headquarters, but I'm sure they won't mind me speeding up this part of the process, how much they wanted this. The Republic now has a bracer who reached A rank at the same age as the Empire's Purple Lightning. Ooh, good for you. Oh god, this music. Oh, I was right, nailed it. Congrats to your promotion, Elaine Auclaire, Beauty's Blade. God, I can't wait. I can't wait for the Calvard art, I must admit. I mean, if I wasn't sold before, I'm sold now. I don't mean I was as in I was going to play it. I still don't know. Do let me know if you want to see me played through the Calvard art, because again, these take like 6 months. Now, I don't think it'll be as long, because I also kind of know better what I'm doing, so it won't be me learning how to YouTube at the same time, so it'll probably take about 4 months, but still, that's a long time to play on one game, you know what I mean? So, let me know, do let me know if you do want to see that, or if you have any other recommendations for any other games, also let me know as well. Forward, sword in hand, at the end. Is that the first strand? Yes, it is. And that is all of them. That is... Oh, there she is. I thought it was her strands. Ooh. Suspension of causality. Recording engine activity confirmed. Force connection to astral link severed. So many big words in these games. I have no idea what any of them mean. Oh well. The whirlpool of causality engulfing Erebos, and the fated land has at last been unravelled. Oh. The sad day, legend. Though the bell ringing the end of days is yet to be silenced. Suspense. You, children of Zemuria, have earned your moment of peace until the time comes to face the final hour. This might be the Grand Master talking, who I still think is Adios. That's the only logic I can put together. Until you, with hope and fear in your hearts, must walk new trails. I mean, imagine the size of the parties we're going to have to make if every arc is in one. And that is it. That is it. Officially, gentlemen, that is the end of Trails Into Reverie. The series is done. Wow. I actually made it. I almost gave up about 7 times during this entire series, especially early on. It was around about episode 30 that I really just was going to stop. Because nothing was happening. I was terrible. The videos were bad. And I almost gave up. So I'm glad I stuck out to the end. This has been super fun. Thanks so much for watching, whether you watched all of them like an absolute mad lad, or if you just watched this one. Either way, thank you very much. It means a lot. Thanks for subscribing, liking, all that. I mean, especially the last 2 weeks has been incredible. It's been the best 2 weeks of the channel ever by like 1,000%. That's not an exaggeration. On the statistics I get, it's like up 1,000, you know. Way, way higher than I thought. So I'm super happy about that. So, yeah. Yeah, so see you guys in the next one, I guess. That's the end of Trails Into Reverie. Say goodbye, Lisa. Nah, I forgot. She doesn't do that. Anyway, yes. Oh, Elliot. Playing his violin to play us out. Lovely. Charles.